welcome back to my channel. Thank you so much for tuning in again. Today I am coming to you in full-on athleisure mode because sweatpants are life. Today I wanted to talk about something I kind of breezed over in my first video, and a couple of you had some questions, so I want to just dive a little deeper into that, and that is how I neutralize the redness in my skin using a yellow-based foundation rather than a green color corrector. So before I go in and take off my foundation and actually get to work showing you exactly what I mean, I want to just do like a super basic definition of color theory. Like textbook definition is that when you look at a color wheel, the colors that are opposite one another are complementary colors, and they complete each other through opposition. So basically, when you go to makeup school, the first thing they do is tell you to get a color wheel from the craft store and keep it in your kit for emergencies in case you kind of get stuck. And the general kind of principle on how that applies with makeup is that you use opposite colors to neutralize one another out. So if we have darkness under the eyes that are kind of like these blue purpley tones, we're gonna go orange. If you have redness in the skin, you're gonna go green. If you're kind of sallow, you might use a purple corrector. And over this last year or so, there was like this crazy trend on Instagram where people were putting like red lipstick under their lips and purple and green and orange, and they looked crazy. And the thing with that is that people can edit their videos down into like a 15-second clip. So doing something like that, while it may work in theory, it creates so much more work for you. So what I like to do is kind of, instead of working directly opposite, like 180 degrees, I kind of like to work 120-ish degrees, using all of my math skills right now to try to give you like that precise of an answer. But basically, to simplify it even more, when I'm working on like light to medium skin tones like myself, I want to find correctors that have the general vibe of the color I'm looking for, but that is still going to be found in a skin tone. So darkness under the eyes, I'm not going to go in with this bright orange concealer, even though there's blue tones under the eyes. I'm going to go in with something that's kind of salmon and peach, something that's going to can be found in the wild in skin tone. That way it's going to blend easier into the skin. It's gonna look very natural. And the whole point of using a color corrector is so that you can then go in with less foundation. It's not so that you have this now crazy color on your skin and you have to pack on foundation to cover now this crazy color. Again, the color corrector that I find myself using the most are these peach and salmon concealers that I place under the eye, or maybe if you have a bruise, something like that. Old acne scarring that's dark, that's nice for that. But in terms of using these really like super bright green color correctors, I generally tend to stay away from them. The only time I will say that I actually do go in and use those very pigmented color correctors is when I'm working on a more pigmented skin tone. So when I'm working on a really deep skin tone, I do find that to correct hyperpigmentation, maybe dark spots, acne spots, a lot of time colored skin has uneven skin tones and a lot of hyperpigmentation, I will then go in with more of an actual orange color corrector. So the very simplified explanation is that the less pigment in the skin tone, the less pigmented of a color corrector I'm going to use, because I want to make as little work for myself as possible, and I want to put on as little product on myself and on my clients as possible. When you're trying to neutralize or conceal something that's distracting on the skin, the more product you put on, the more obvious it's going to be. So if you want perfection, then Photoshop your pictures. This is real life, and unfortunately, we can only do so much to conceal blemishes and things that maybe aren't our favorite, but we can definitely lessen them and make them less distracting, and that's really the point of color correcting. So that was kind of a long version of what I'm trying to show you here. And if you want to see how I go about doing that with as little product as possible on my skin, then just keep on watching. Okay, I'm back and I've taken off my foundation. It's a little different in real life versus coming through the camera because I am being blasted by very strong, powerful lights that kind of tend to tame everything and smooth everything out. But in real life, I do have quite a bit of redness in my skin. I also have some blue tones under my eyes. I wouldn't say that I have very dark circles, but I definitely have thin skin under my eyes that tend to kind of pull a little blue. So I want to show you how I like to color correct under my eyes. And also I'm going to show you some of these products that I'm talking about and really show you what I mean when I say I don't like to use them. So when we're talking about my under eye, I like to go in with something that's a little more peachy, pinky, but still represents a color you would find in an actual skin tone. So I'm just going to take this concealer on just a fluffy brush and just hit it under my eyes. Now, if you have darker circles than I do, you can definitely go in with something that's more peach, more salmon. I just don't really like to go in, again, with a bright orange. And when we're talking about color correcting, I like to color correct under the eyes, under foundation, and then I can brighten on top with a concealer. And I'll show you exactly what I mean. So as you can see, that just kind of corrected the little bit of blue tone that was under my eyes and kind of brought it back to a neutral position. So now what I want to do is on half of my face, I'm going to go in with these kind of green products that I'm talking about. And the first thing I'm going to do is use this Smashbox, I think it's Photo Finish Primer in green. Now, I will say that since I used this product last, which was basically right after I left makeup school, and I was like, I have to follow every single rule. I did have one of these in my kit, and I think it was from Clinique, and it was super green. And it definitely left a very weird cast on the skin that you really have to work to try to cover and make look natural again. It kind of looked very sickly and sallow and kind of just not cute. So, and don't know if it's picking up on the camera, but there is a slight green cast. Now this isn't offensive in any way. I can definitely cover this with my foundation, but I don't know if you can see, it didn't really do that much in the way of neutralizing the redness that's here in my cheeks, that's here in my chin. Like, to me, it just doesn't seem like it's a product that I personally really care about. So on the other side, I'm gonna go in with a yellow tone foundation. Back to talking about the color wheel, I kind of like to work in that like 120 degree-ish range. Yellow isn't directly across from red, but it's kind of like adjacent to that area. Now, you don't want to go super yellow because that's gonna make you look sick, but you can kind of play around with your skin tone. I know everyone's obsessed with matching their foundation, but if you think about it, your neck is a different color than your chest, is a different color than your face. Like, you're never really going to be able to match your foundation. I always tend to pull my foundation a little down the neck, warm up my neck so that it matches my chest. So I'm okay with kind of fudging my undertone because I think going with something more golden, aside from the fact that it helps to neutralize the redness in my skin, just looks a little more warm. I mean, it's technically warm being yellow, but it just kind of brings more of a bronzy glow to your skin. I don't really know how to articulate it properly, but a lot of makeup artists will use more of a yellow toned foundation rather than going with the pinks in your skin because it just kind of looks more flattering. I'm going in, if you can see, that's pretty yellow. This is a MAC, what is it? Pro Longwear Nourishing Waterproof Foundation. in NC30, and generally speaking, the NC shades from MAC are definitely more yellow. The NW shades are more cool, meaning they're more pink toned, which is kind of confusing because yellow is a warm color. So it's confusing, but basically one thing I saw was that to just think of the N as not. So it's not cool and it's not warm. That's how you choose your foundations at MAC. You just do the opposite. This foundation kind of smells like Play-Doh. So this was just a thin layer of a yellow base foundation. And as you can see, it pretty much canceled out all of my redness. Whereas on this side, I still have to worry about my cheeks and my chin and these blemishes, which when I tried to film this video, like the 100 times I've tried to film it so far, these were much worse. And I kind of had a little better of a canvas, a worse canvas for me, but a better canvas for you to show you what I'm talking about. But that's okay, because this is kind of still there-ish enough. Now I'm gonna go in with a product that, this is kind of more what I'm talking about that I don't like. And this is the Urban Decay Naked Skin Green Color Correcting Concealer and Color Correcting Fluid. And when you color correct, you want to do it under your foundation. So I'm going to put this here on this blemish. You can see it's very, very green. I'm going to just blend it in a tiny bit. And now it's just kind of making a lime green mess on my face. So I guess you just leave it there, which is kind of weird. And now we'll go in with this same foundation on the other side, since we've seen that the primer doesn't really like do anything. I mean, primers can help your foundation lay better, but we're talking about just for redness here. So as you can see, I'm gonna start putting foundation here, and it's just gonna kind of make a weird cast on that spot. So there's just kind of like almost a bruisey looking spot now on my face. Again, I blend my foundation. Always take your foundation on the jawline. Even if you think it's a perfect match, take it on the jawline, girl. Because as soon as you leave your bathroom, light changes. And it's not always what you think it is. So, I mean, the blemish is still there. I don't really feel like that green concealer did anything other than making me have to go in with slightly more foundation to really pack over it. And I'm gonna, if I really want it to be disappeared, then I'm gonna have to do that anyways and go in and pinpoint conceal, which I will do now. I put my brushes in the background so that they would look so pretty, but I actually need them. So I'm gonna go into this concealer palette that I have from MAC and pinpoint conceal this blemish. I pretty much took care of it. So, but think about this now. I have a layer of primer, a layer and a half of foundation, and now a layer of green corrector and a layer of concealer to cover this one blemish. Whereas on this side, I just have one layer of foundation. So, I mean, you do the math. That's these two products together, the correcting primer and the green concealer, was $72. So is that something you feel like you want to be having in your kit? I don't know. It's up to you. But so now I want to deal with the redness that's here around my nose, which I don't think is showing up too much on camera, but I just want to show you that putting something like this is just not, I don't want to spoil the ending, but it's not practical. So that looks crazy. It looked like I snotted all over myself. And I'm gonna take this yellow concealer, which I will also use under my eyes to brighten. And we'll do this side. Now I'll take this yellow concealer again and put it on this side to cover the green. We'll see if one layer does it. I think both sides kind of look the same. And so what I was talking about earlier, a yellow concealer is really nice to put on top of your foundation under your eyes to brighten the under eye area. So I'll do it on one side just so you can see what I mean. Kind of like to just put it under there and blend it in this kind of triangle shape under your eyes. So right here, down the center of your nose and then up. I'm not sure if you can see that, but that really lifts the face. Makes you look more awake, makes you look kind of like you just got a facelift. And I personally like to use a concealer with a more thin consistency under the eyes versus something like the MAC concealer that I use to pinpoint conceal my blemish. Not to say that you can't, but that's just my preference. I don't really like a cream concealer like that under my eye. I can also take this if I want down the center of my face a little bit to highlight. I don't like to bring, as I said earlier, don't like to bring my highlighter all the way down the base of my nose because I have a kind of big base of my nose, so I don't want to draw more attention to that. So that's how I get just my base. Now, what I will do after this, if I'm going out, which I'm not, I fully intend on staying in my sweatpants all night, is I'll do a little dusting of powder under the eyes. You always want to set your concealer down the center of the face where I get oily, and I also get oily here on the jawline for some reason. So I'll just kind of set this T-zone very lightly, and I'll do a foundation routine video, another video. I don't want to like give you all my secrets now. I got to keep you coming back for more, people. And then I would bronze and do a little blush and whatever. That's how I do my base. To kind of wrap up my purpose of making this video, it is that, do you need this product in your kit or is it just kind of gimmicky? If you have skin issues, if you have redness in your skin, if you're irritated, if you have a little bit of rosacea, in my opinion, I would rather take the $72 that it costs to get these products and invest it in skincare that's going to treat the issue at the source. So rather than just packing on makeup, you know, get products that are soothing and that are healing, and then you don't have to continue to deal with that issue, or at least you can manage it. If you're a woman of color, then I think if you have dark hyperpigmentation, I do like using actual orange concealers on those. If you're someone of light to medium skin tone, the only corrector that I really love and swear by is a peach corrector for under the eyes or any areas that are blue. These greens and reds and oranges, I just think that they are weird, and I think you have to work so much harder to actually cover them up and make them look natural and make them look skin-like. And in my opinion, I just don't like to use them that much. Now, with that being said, every makeup artist has their own thing that they like to do. Everyone has the products that they love in their kit. Every one of you has stuff that you like to use. So if you're using these products and you like them and they're working for you, you're not wrong. You know, makeup is subjective and there are no real hard and fast rules, which is great and amazing. But for me personally, products like this are just kind of a pass. I would much rather spend that $40 a product or $72 together and just buy some bomb skincare and make sure that I'm really treating myself well in terms of from the inside out. So that is my video today on how I neutralize the redness in my skin and why I use a yellow based foundation to do that, and why I also don't love green products. So if you like this